today's one of them. So it's good to get. So let's go over the cardiology, cardiorespiratory stuff. Turn off the light so you can see the histology images better. All right, well, only thing I'd ask you here, identify tissue, cardiac muscles. The only structure I would have you identify, like point to it there, that little dark bar is the intercalated disc. Okay, so just, we start with the heart. Okay, then we go to the blood vessels. I might ask you to identify what kind of blood vessel this is. Remember we talked about the different kinds? This is elastic artery. Okay. I may have you identify the tunics. Number 1 is pointing to tunica intima. 2 is a very large, expansive tunica media. Number 3 is tunica adventitia. Number 4 is pointing to a structure called vasovasorum. Little blood vessels of the big blood vessel. Vasovasorum. Also, accompanied with these slides, I did post a couple of study guides, just so you kind of have a list to check off of when you study on your own. They were already on D2L. They were just in a couple of locations, so I just put it on that announcement to make it clear. Okay. I also might ask you to identify maybe cell or fiber types in the tunics. For this one, I want you to know the internal elastic lamina, but you really can't see it here. So don't worry about it there. Here, you see the blackish and the pinkish. The blackish are elastic fibers. You need to know that. And the reddish are smooth muscle cells. You need to know that. In the tunica adventitia, you don't have, all you have basically here is maybe some collagen fibers. I don't expect you to say anything else for that. Let's move on to this slide, which is a close-up of these little vessels are called vasovasorum. They supply blood to all the tunics. And I like the closer up picture. You can see in detail the black elastic fibers or the reddish smooth muscle fibers. If you move on to a different slide, this is a muscular artery. This is a large vein. That's a nerve, don't worry about that. So 1, muscular artery, 2, large vein. If I have you identify the tunics, 1 is pointing to tunica intima, tunica media, tunica adventitia. Number 1, this is a good example if I say identify structure. Internal elastic lamina, the black squiggly line. Notice the muscular artery, the tunica media, is like more pink, less black, because there's more smooth muscle content. It's called a muscular artery. Compare that with the elastic artery, there's much more elastic. Okay, so that's simple to remember. Number 3, we have collagen fibers, and we see a higher elastic content in the tunica adventitia on this specimen here. The vein, same deal. Tunica intima, tunica media, tunica adventitia. And it's the same cellular content. Mostly smooth muscle, some elastic here, some collagen, some elastic there in the tunica adventitia. That's a large vein. 3 layers, right? 3 layers in the large blood vessels. 3 layers on this blood vessel. This is also a muscular artery. It's smaller than the one we looked at, but still categorized as muscular. We got the 3 layers here, tunica intima, media, adventitia. Now we're down to 2 layers. This is an arterial. Specifically, it's from the spleen. It's white pulp, the purple stuff here, white pulp. And this is 2 layers, a TI and TM. Tunica intima and tunica media. This is a central arterial, okay, down to 2 layers. Here is going back to 3 layers. It's a different slide. I wanted to use the rat testing slide. So these cells in the middle, I'm not going to ask you, but you sure know those are red blood cells, right? Our 3 layers, going from in to out, 3, 2, 1, tunica intima, media, tunica adventitia. This is a muscular artery. Down to 1 layer, that's 1 layer. So which layer is it? Tunica intima. So I guess call this a capillary. They're almost single file there, which is why why we can categorize it as a capillary. Okay, very, very thin. That's also from the rat testy slide. This is a venule, a central venule. Well, it's pointing to it. It's from the liver. We'll study the liver later. For blood vessels, just know that as the central venule. Here's a closer up picture of it. Central venule. We're going to move on to blood. Let's identify blood cells. Number 1, platelet. Number 2, any guesses?
Kidney-shaped guy.
Yeah, those are the monocytes. Reddish, I know it's a little blurry, reddish cell, eosinophil. Eosinophil. If you see a lot of eosinophils in one field of vision, it's probably a blood condition called eosinophilia. Easy enough to remember. Here's a close-up picture of one of those eosinophils. Here is, these are both the same. Neutrophils, both of them. Okay, boom, boom. This is iron deficient anemia. And one way I tell is I look for the less dense red blood cells. They kind of clump up together when they're not very, it's not the appropriate density. And also you see these cells, microcytes. Okay? They're very pale and just a little rim. They don't have a lot of hemoglobin content. That's an iron deficient anemia. I know it's kind of small, but I wanted to put them side by side. So this first one is a sickle cell anemia. Upon a close examination, you'll see there's puckered or sickled red blood cells. This is eosinophilia, and this is our iron deficient anemia. I just wanted to put the 3 blood disorders on one slide for you there. So what is this again? Sickle cell anemia. Don't forget the anemia part. If I just point to one cell and I say identify cell, then you can say just sickle cell. This is eosinophilia. And which anemia is this? Iron deficient. Okay. If you want a second look at this, we have the slides in the lab. I have the pictures here for you. These are pictures from those slides. I didn't get them from the internet. All these are. Okay, 2 different cells here. Eosinophil. I see the red granules. I see the bilobe nuke. This is lymphocyte. Okay. It's kind of the same color as monocyte, but notice that nuke is not kidney shaped. It's round. And just a little rim of cytoplasm. Okay, now we're moving on to respiratory. This is trachea. Look how thick and expansive it is. If I say identify layers, mucosa, submucosa, adventitia. Adventitia really runs all the way down to the bottom, but I just include the cartilage ring because that's the only thing I ask you for adventitia. Let's do a close-up of mucosa. I'm pointing to a few things here. Number 1, I just want you to identify this epithelium, where you would say ciliated, pseudostratified columnar ET with goblet cells. So 2 is pointing to a goblet cell. 3 is pointing to lamina propria, kind of the CT support for the epithelia. 4 is pointing to something in the submucosa. It's a seromucous gland. Okay. 4 is seromucous gland. All right. Moving on to deep in the lung tissue. This is normal, healthy lung. And 1 is pointing to the inside, the lumina, the bronchial. 2 is the hallway. What do I call the hallway? Alveolar duct. Yeah. So if that's all that's labeled, that's all I would ask you. But there's a lot of cool stuff here.
What was 1?
Class? Nobody knows. Bronchial. Bronchial.
Thank you.
What was 2 again?
Duct.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to show you a close-up picture of that epithelium. Also on your study guide for bronchial. The epithelium for bronchial, I say on the study guide, is simple cuboidal ET with sparse cilia. So that would be the answer for this identification. It doesn't look like that columnar or goblet cell stuff, does it? It's very different in the bronchioles. Oh, this is diseased lung. Okay, let's go back. Normal lung, emphysema lung. Do you see a difference? I should hope so. Yeah. If you don't, you're getting in the wrong field here. Okay, this is like obviously not good. There's no structure here. All the alveoli look really terrible. On closer magnification, what we say is you have fewer, larger alveoli, and I'm pointing to one. The reason why you have large alveoli is because all the walls are breaking down. And like, it's like if I knock this wall down, now we're one continuous room with a lab behind it. And in gas exchange, a larger alveoli is not as efficient because it's hard to exchange with a larger space. And so it's not good. Larger is not better. So this is a larger alveolus. I'll just say, what condition is this? And you say emphysema. Okay, this is the lung. And that's it. That's